Gear Monkeys, it's Alexa, and I'm going to be reviewing this little pedal. It's called the Mic Mechanic by TC-Helicon, or Helicon. They make a lot of vocalist gear, and I bought this a few weeks ago, and I've really been enjoying it. This cost about $149, $150 at Guitar Center. What it is it's a pedal. Let's open up the box. It is a pedal that will give you a couple of effects on your voice. Now today I had a gig, and here's the key thing. You gotta try gear on gigs. You can't tell any other way. Or recording things. So you have to approach these things scientifically, otherwise you're just gonna go for the placebo effect. You're gonna be like, yeah, this gear makes me sound so good, and it really doesn't. Well, so there's a couple things to be aware of with this little box. What it has is a pedal to go on and off. It's got a tone button, which is sort of like a dynamic EQ, where it's intelligently, EQing based on the frequencies that are coming into it, and it's sort of making some choices about the EQ. It's fairly bright, I would say, which actually I like in general. Okay, on the left side, what you have is several types of reverb. Hall, club, room. Then you've also got hall plus echo, club plus echo, room plus echo, plain echo, and slap. So, and then you have a dry and a wet button, so that'll dial up or down your reverb or your effects that you're using over here. Then, interestingly, you have pitch correction, and this is kind of cool. I was attracted to this because a lot of times when I'm working with the big band and the sound is just so tricky, I was curious to see if this would have if it would improve my pitch in any way. And granted, people say that I have excellent pitch. I don't always agree with them, but they do say that I have excellent pitch. But I get really frustrated when I hear recordings of myself live that aren't in as good pitch as I would like. Okay. That's enough of that.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, monkeys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Remember, these aren't moms who look at the gear, okay? So these are musicians. They don't care about children.
I know.
Sorry about that.
I know.
Anywho, so this needs power. You can turn the tone on and off. So if you didn't like the EQ that it was giving you, you could turn that off. And then on the side, actually, and I have not played with this in any way, there is a mic gain button right here. So here, let me give you some close-up that you can see. There are your types of EQ. All right, honey. Good for you.
Okay.
Review. It's done great. Our sound engineer was not actually that happy that I brought a pedal, but then he was cool with it, and he said, it seems to be making you happy. Oh, it also has some compression, and like I said, with the gain, you could boost your signal. If you felt like the signal coming out, I don't have a strong voice, right? So if you felt your signal wasn't that strong, you could boost your signal and boost your gain and give the sound person more volume to work with. Although that potentially could have a feedback effect. Today's gig was a perfect example of where this makes sense. Woo! It had reverb and compression and effects for a festival gig where the board did not have any effects. And as a singer, that's murder. You need to have effects on your voice. I'm sorry. You need at least some reverb, and so that was really helpful. And actually, if I had two of these, I could have run a second pedal on the second mic that I had for my melodica, because a melodica sounds great bathed in reverb. So if you wanted to bathe that sucker in reverb, like max it out to wet. And also the melodica is also not that in tune. So far I've been running the pitch correction very, very subtle, okay? Barely on at all. If you turn the pitch correction, I haven't even run it in the middle. Each of these has a natural sort of middle spot that it wants to go to, but I haven't run either of these here. If you run this all the way to the top, it'll give you an auto-tune effect. But my melodica is a pitchy instrument. So here's what this is doing. This pitch correction ostensibly is correcting to the nearest half step. So if you're singing wildly out of tune, this is not going to help you. But if you're singing pretty close to in tune, then this will definitely perfect things. Again, assuming that it's not a placebo effect. So my caveat was something like this. The online reviews, a lot of people say it's great. They can't believe how good they sounded. They got a lot of compliments on their voice. So I had a similar effect. I felt like I was just, again, it's a set it and forget it type of a situation. So if you don't trust the sound person to give you the setting that you want, you can throw something like this on. And even though they have compression and they have EQ and they have reverb on the main board, maybe you don't like how they're setting your voice up, or maybe they're not boosting you enough. So a lot of people just take matters into their own hands. And the other thing is that this can be used with a wireless setup, and I just used it on a gig a few days ago also with a wireless setup where the sound man ran it off the board. So this is going to interrupt your signal so you're going to have an XLR cable coming into it and an XLR cable coming out of it. If you were using a wireless mic, then what you would be doing is interrupting the signal between the wireless transmitter and the main board with this pedal. And so the guy just had this pedal just sitting up on top of the board, and he ran it, and I was appreciative of that. I have recorded all of the gigs that I've used this on, so that's about 4 or 5 gigs. I'm going to carefully listen to them. So far what I've heard has been pretty darn good, but the real test, and I don't know if I will do this or somebody else should do this, or you should just do this if you want to believe in something like this. The real test is to go into your DAW, go into Logic Pro X or something, and record yourself singing, and then do an A/B and look at, for instance, pitch, and actually look at the EQ profile. That's what you could do. You could run the tone, turn it on, and record yourself with this, and see what the EQ profile ends up being. And then you can really get a sense of how it's changing. In fact, then also you might want to change it or test it and see how really dynamically it does do EQ. Say use a different person's voice or use a different instrument like the melodica, as I mentioned. So I hope this has been helpful. This has been my review of this little box. I think so far I'm going to say it's worth it, though with the caveat that it might be placebo effect. And I hope that was helpful. Let me know what you do to make your vocals sound amazing while also remaining affordable. That's the rub, right? All right. But remember, the most important thing isn't your gear, it's your singing and your attitude. But the gear definitely is the icing that sets the pros apart from the amateurs, I think. So if you can come in with the best gear, that is what's going to set you apart, is knowing how your voice sounds with certain microphones, preamps, certain, effects boxes, etc. In-ear monitors, all that good stuff. That's how you set yourself apart, because that's how you deliver consistently great performances in, the electrified era of music. All right, I hope that was helpful. Please comment and subscribe and share this video. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.